Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel, Peterisms, where I tell stories of my life and just little things that I have learned as I have grown into the person that I am today. And I'm really excited because I just went downstairs and my new red tartan plaid coffee tumbler came in the mail. I'm super excited about this. It's from Corksicle, and I don't even know how I found it online. Oh, I do know. So I saw something on Instagram and it was like an advertisement for Corksicle, and so I went on their website and they had all these tumblers and they had them in different colors, and they had red tartan, they had like a holiday theme to some of them, and I was like, oh my god, I'm obsessed. So I had to buy this one, and it's super sturdy. It's weird because I thought it was like round, but it kind of has like this, it has like ridges in it. It's like octagonal? I don't know what that word is. But anyway, so cheers. And let's get into reading some meditations for today. I actually went through the meditation books and I picked two that I thought might be good for today. I didn't read the meditations, I just read the titles. So let's hope they're good. The first one is from the Meditations for Living in Balance, Daily Solutions for People Who Do Too Much by Ann Wilson Sheff. And the meditation is called Being Good and Being Bad. So let's get right into this. November 25th, being good and bad. Some are thought good and some bad, and both are wronged. Cuban proverb. What a burden it is to be seen as bad. What a burden it is to be seen as good. Both views distort and compress a very complex, multifaceted human being into a one-dimensional line. Some of us have difficulty accepting our badness. We want to be good. We try to be good. And when we can't pull our goodness off, we may be tempted to resort to a con. But only sometimes, because this would throw us into the bad category. Rarely do we stop to let ourselves realize what a burden it is to be considered good. When we have bad thoughts, bad feelings, or even bad behavior, we want to repress them, to hide them, even from ourselves. This is a burden. Some of us have difficulty accepting our goodness. We are never good enough, no matter what we do. We could have done better. We have unrealistic expectations of ourselves. And when we fail, we will resort to, I told you so, I'm no good. Even when we are good, we are suspicious of our goodness. We can just never leave ourselves alone. We wrong ourselves and others when we see them as being exclusively good or bad. We are humans. Humans are good and bad. We live in paradox, and we are paradox. The best thing we do may also be the worst thing we do. All we can do is bumble along the best we can, asking forgiveness and learning from our mistakes. Accepting ourselves means accepting all of us. When you do something you don't like, accept it. Do what you have to do to right it and move on. I guess this is an interesting meditation, the idea of bad versus good. I think that, most of us know right from wrong and things like that. I think that's inherent in most of us. I won't say all of us, because I think there are some people that don't understand the difference between wrong and right. But I think most of us do, and, the idea of good and bad is honestly not something that I think about very often. I will tell you that before I got sober, I just didn't think of myself as a very good person. I didn't treat people right, I wasn't nice to people, and I knew that, And the idea of like being successful at things and being good at things was such a struggle for me that I almost like really didn't care. I really didn't, And it's interesting because I think had you known me then, like before I got sober, and then you knew me today, like this journey or this, I don't know what to say, this idea of me wanting to be a good person, to be a better person, a better version of myself than I was the day before. Like, I didn't care about that before I got sober. I was selfish and I was self-centered. I only cared about myself. I only cared about my desires, and I didn't really care if I hurt somebody. And I think part of it was that I couldn't care about somebody, because if I cared about somebody, then what I would have to realize was I was hurting them. So to care about somebody meant that I had to have empathy and sympathy for the pain that I was causing them. And I couldn't do that. So if you have addicts and alcoholics in your life, and you say to yourself, because I always get a lot of questions, and people will say, I love this person so much, I just don't understand why they don't see that, why they don't stop using. Well, I've said this a million times, and I'll continue to say, well, not a million, but, that if love were enough, there would be no treatment programs, there would be no 12-step programs, there would be no need for therapy or counseling or whatever. And that doesn't just apply to addiction. That can apply to anything in life. That can apply to, you know, any kind of issue that you could have, you know, from parents and children to marriages to whatever, that if love were enough, it just wouldn't happen. We all need some work, you know, and I don't think that there's anything wrong about that whatsoever. And so I think it's this idea of realizing that you're never going to be perfect. I think this drive for being like this ultimately good person. I was actually talking to a friend of mine the other night that I see at my meeting every week, and we were talking about, like, he shared with me some amends that he had to make, and it was like, I don't know, it was just, I'm not going to make something up, but it was just like making amends to somebody for, like, just kind of something that he had said. It really wasn't even that big of a deal. And I said to him, when we were talking about it, I said, you always make me feel like so much worse than I already feel, because your amends are like on this level, whereas like I have still so much growth to go, you know? I had this this kind of moment of clarity I think it was like a month or two ago, where I was just like driving around and I was listening to some music, and it was very kind of like calm, like spiritual music. And I was thinking to myself about this desire to be like ultimately like a really good person, you know? And I think that in our society, we think of good people as being bad or being boring, I think good people are seen as bad sometimes, but being seen as boring, or their lives are like, who would want it? Nobody would want that. We'd rather have this bad kind of living on the edge kind of life. And I don't think that has to be true, you know? I think for me, I define being a good person in how I treat other people and how I interact with the people around me, you know? So I think it's interesting. I also want to talk about the idea of perspective when we talk about like the perspective of, am I a good person, am I a bad person, whatever. I think the perspective of that is extremely interesting, you know? And I think perspective in any situation is interesting. And I don't know why I immediately went to this thought, but a few years ago, I ran into this guy that I went to high school with. We went to like elementary, junior high, and high school together. I think, maybe it was just junior high and high school. But anyway, he was like the most popular guy in our class. I mean, he was like the biggest athlete. He was super adorable. He was in this relationship with this girl for like 4 years. Top of our class as far as grades. Really nice guy. Never gave me a hard time. He was always just a really, really nice guy that we didn't really interact a whole lot in high school. So I ran into him, and he was like, oh, Peter, it's great to see you, and whatever, and we were sitting there talking. And somehow we came upon this conversation of like what high school was like for us, right? And I said, I don't think that you know what kind of living hell high school was for me. And he was like, oh, I'm sure, you know, with the bullying and everything. And I said, yeah, it was really, really difficult. And he said, but I don't think you have any idea what kind of hell high school was for me either. And I said, what do you mean? I mean, this was such a learning experience for me, you guys. This totally, you know, like in Dead Poets Society when he has all the kids stand on the desk and they see the room in a completely different way. This was that moment for me. This was such an aha moment for me. And he said, you know, I know on the outside looking in, it looked like I had everything, you know, that, you know, athletically I had everything, and grades wise I had everything, and the girlfriend and whatever. He goes, what you didn't know was that, you know, it was such a struggle to keep up with my grades while I was in athletics all the time. He was like, my girlfriend cheated on me, you know, behind my back several times when we were in high school, but I had to keep up this facade of this perfect relationship for, you know, because I thought that that's what everybody expected. And he was like, and I couldn't miss a practice, and I had to be like athletically at my top when I just didn't even really want to play sports anymore. And he goes, high school was really hard for me, you know? And I was like, well, what did you want to do? And he goes, I wanted to be a writer. And I thought, you know, this is so interesting to me that this guy that was like so driven, that I thought he wanted to be like the world's best athlete, really was kind of like on the other side looking at me with my notebook, wishing he could just be a writer and just like hang out with his friends, you know? And so I think we never really realize somebody else's perspective. I mean, it's very much To Kill a Mockingbird. You don't really understand somebody until you know, sit on their front porch and walk around for a little bit. And I think it's something that I think we could all, you know, take a lesson from that and walk around other people's front porches in their shoes a little bit and really see what their experience is like. Because we really don't know, you know. I mean, and there's so many different experiences we could learn, you know, just age experience. Look, what's life like from your point of view, from your age, or, you know, all kinds of different, you know, experiences that if we allowed ourselves to walk around in that person's shoes for a little while, we might see the world in a completely different way. So that was a great meditation. I'm actually, I don't think I'm gonna, well, the other one is short, so I'll read it. Okay, and this is from November 25th, and this is from The Journey to the Heart by Melody Beatty. Make today a healing day. Take time for healing. Take time for what soothes your body, your mind, your soul. Take a bath, light a candle, read a book, take a walk, get a massage, see your favorite healer if you desire, see a movie, buy some flowers, drink a cup of tea. Sometimes we talk ourselves out of doing something healing for ourselves. We're too busy, too tired, but that is when we most need to take care of ourselves. Listen to your heart. What does it want? Listen to your body. What does it need? Trust what you hear. Make today a healing day. Then take some time and make every day a healing day. I think that's such a fantastic meditation because I think it's so important, you know, that I think one of the things that we forget about the most is taking care of ourselves. And, you know, just like, you know, just for me, it's just, you know, making a simple cup of coffee, you know, for the day. Or, you know, like I know my husband loves to take long hot showers and, you know, just relax in bed and, you know, whatever it is for you. You know, I think for all of us, it's different. You know, like speaking of my husband and I, for me, it's like listening to an audiobook. For him, it's like he loves to play this game Township. So it's like for all of us, like we like to do different things. You know, what's something that it heals you? What's something that will, you know, make you relax a little bit? And the reality is, and I think it's important for me to say this, I haven't said this in a while, you know, nobody loves a martyr. I mean, I think it's great when you're spending your entire life taking care of others and, you know, all of that. And I have friends of mine that through the years have said like, oh my God, you know, like, I get up in the morning and I have to take my kids to school and I have to do this, and, you know, then my husband, I have to find his socks so he can go to work, and then, you know, my mom lives with us and my dad passed away, and, you know, then my in-laws, like, I have to go and check in on them and go get their, and they don't have any time for themselves, you know, but they play this kind of like martyrdom out, like pat me on my back for what a great job that I'm doing. And I think it is fantastic. I think it's so awesome that you're of service to others and all of that kind of stuff. But if you don't take care of yourself, you're no good for anybody else, because you're going to run yourself down, you know, you're going to run yourself ragged and run yourself down, and then you're not going to be able to take care of other people when they really need you, you know? So I think that it's always important to be working on ourselves and healing ourselves so that we can be the best versions of ourselves that we can be, and don't ever forget that. So anyway, let me know what you think about those meditations in the comment section below. I love you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.